Good evening, everyone. On a Thursday night, we're talking college football, and it has been a beautiful day here, hopefully there as well for you, and not many bad days in a long time. I tell you, it's been beautiful, 80s and sunny every day, just about every day for a long time here in wonderful, beautiful Connecticut. We see that the countdown clock says 64 days to college football. We hope, we pray, we believe that we will get to college football on time in 64 days. That 64-day mark is to week 0, the week 0 games. So tack on 7, and you get the 71 days to week 1 when most of the teams will be playing in week 1. We got 6 on the line right here at the Voice of College Football, Mark Rogers TV. We hope that you've locked it in. Like, comment, share the videos out on social media, and of course, subscribe right here. The key to the subscription is that you turn on the bell for the notifications. That way you know when we're going live. And we've got some live offerings coming up very soon. So, of course, right here for the next 45 or 50 minutes, we've got a call-in show. So please give us a call on your favorite college football topic. 860-325-3687. I'm taking calls and then switching on over to Patreon. So we announced a number of times over the last couple of weeks that we've got an exclusive live stream coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So if you would like to take part in that, please tell me in the live chat that you're interested, and when we'll try to squeeze you in. That could be difficult, but we'll try to squeeze you in. Never fear, we are going to have exclusive live streams every week. And the purpose of the exclusive live stream is that I get to talk to you directly. Yes, not just on the phone. We're going to bring you on as a guest analyst. So for coming up at 7 o'clock, I'm just going to check my checklist right here. Our guest analyst coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So I'm going to send a link out to, we got Jake, we got Seth, NBA fan. We got Tony Siracusa. We got, so our last 2, I need some help here. Kyle, I know you're out there. You did not leave me your email address. I can't get you the link without your email address. So leave your email address to me at MarkRogersTV@gmail. So if you don't want to put your email address out there, just leave your email address, Kyle, to my email address at MarkRogersTV@gmail. I'll get you the link so we can have you on to talk college football with me at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And also, Ray Walker, same deal. You said you were interested, but did not leave your email address. So, Mr. Walker, MarkRogersTV@gmail, leave your email. I think I'll have it once you email me, and I'll send you the link. So we've got a number of people that have responded that they want to take part in the audience version, is just kick back and listen to us knuckleheads talk college football for an hour plus. Who knows how long it'll go. Got JJ, we got Julie, we got David, we got VOCFB Hafnium, and we got Jimmy86. So all of you will be in the audience, and I will get you that link roughly at 6:45, 6:50. Just follow the directions, and you'll be able to talk college football with me if you are one of the guest analysts for our exclusive live stream at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Otherwise, you'll be in the audience and have a good time, just like these folks in the live chat. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mr. Mark Rogers, it's Ballard Sports Media. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Ballard. How are you?
I'm doing well. I wanted to talk to you. I posted a video on my own channel yesterday, and you don't really see it a whole lot in college football, but with all these protests and everything, there's all this, like, I'm sure you follow the NFL and everything pretty closely as well. But I basically posted a video talking about how we need to get rid of politics in sports, because I think politics are the poison in the NFL and sports like the NBA and pro sports, and I even went in to mention these professional athletes and even college athletes. I guess you see it a little bit in college football, but not like you would the NFL. They're human. They have a right as Americans, freedom of speech and everything, but I just think when it comes to political stuff, like the kneeling, like the tweets, the hate comments, and all this racism stuff, it just kills the sport, I think. What do you think? I mean...
Oh, it's not productive for the sports. If we're just talking about the sports themselves, we're just talking about what goes on the field and everything that we love to talk about. Yeah, it hurts the sport. The problem is that the sport is played by human beings, and the human beings have feelings and thoughts and minds and want to be treated certain ways. It would be like saying, I'll take my workplace, for example. Just pump out great television, great sports television, and regardless of what we do, what we decide, just pump out the great television and keep your mouth shut. So I would love, in utopia, I would love to be right there with you, Ballard. I grew up just thinking about sports. When I thought about sports, it was just about what's going on Saturday or Sunday. It wasn't all this other business. But you're not going to accomplish that. I'm sorry to tell you that. You're not going to accomplish that because individuals have feelings and thoughts and freedoms and rights and all those things. And some people are taking ridiculous stands and others are not, but that's not for me to judge, and therefore I'm not going to go that direction right now. So how do you propose
I would really agree with that because, and again, we can't force it on these athletes, take, Kaepernick when he knelt, and then from there on, everyone kneels during the anthem. You can't force that on them. It's up to them. But, as far as like all the reports go, I mean, these journalists, not all of them really have much of a choice what they put out, but at the same time, like, there's just got to be something we can do to at least, as far as like what the people read or hear in the news and everything. You see it all the time now, and it's just getting out of hand, I think.
So Ballard, please understand. So Ballard, please understand that while I push back, I only do that because we're living in the real world, and I think you have lofty standards there. But I appreciate where you're headed. I appreciate where you're going. I appreciate where you would like to be. I would love if everything was just fine and we could just focus on sports, and that's what I attempt to do here. Is just focus on the college football, but it's difficult to do with everything going on. And certainly that's the case all the time in various locations and spots and with things happening. But right now it's difficult to do, period, in any direction.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. And before I go, I got one question for you.
Okay.
If we get a football season, what team that has not made the playoff yet would probably have the best shot at making it for the first time in 2020? I like a team like Penn State. What do you think?
Let me make sure I'm not missing anyone. I would say Penn State certainly in the top 3 or 4 selections. I would go with Oregon would be my first choice. They made the playoff. I'm sorry. They made the playoff in 2014. I forget about that. Yes. My bad. Yeah. Oregon's out of the way. So we're down to Penn State. We've got the likes of Auburn. We've got Florida.
Yeah.
I think Penn State might be your best choice. Penn State or Wisconsin.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably agree. Well, anyway, thanks for taking my call. There.
Thanks, Ballard.
Yeah.
Forgot about those Ducks in 2014. Heisman Trophy winner, of course, in Marcus Mariota. So how many teams have made the playoff? Of course, we all know those teams. I'm not going to count them up right now, but it's quite a few, although it's been pretty much a logjam over the last several years with the teams that we know. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Navy Thomas Hayes, back at you, buddy.
Hey, Tom. How's it going?
I jumped on your deal here, and I see lots of Tennessee comments on your bottom bar.
Sure, I see that.
that is just one of the subjects that I wanted to talk to you or ask you to set up a program or part of your videos that you do. The hammering of these coaches. I mean, how far back do you want to go with Tennessee? How far back do you want to go with Nebraska, all the way to Frank Solich, Michigan, all the way back to hired after Schembleck quit or retired, Ohio State. I mean, Miami's gone through, 3 coaches now? Just something I would like to see you bring that up as a group subject. I think University of Washington has done the same thing. USC, UCLA, I mean, Arizona State. It's just something I think it would be really interesting, funny to me to look back from the days and come today with who now people have been hired. And now I watched Steve Deese today or yesterday.
Okay.
And he had his guy, and they both kind of talked bad about Scott Frost. And I'm just like, who in the hell are you going to hire to take over Nebraska and fire Scott Frost? Just something I wanted to bring up and let you go with it.
So Tom, let me follow you here. You would like me to address coaches being fired too soon? You think coaches are being let go too early?
Fired, let go, forced retired, however you want to go through it. But it actually happened for, I don't know, from 1999, 2000. I mean, we really started seeing this.
So, Navy Thomas, let's stick with Nebraska. Since you know Nebraska football and you're a big fan, let's stick with Nebraska.
Carousel coaching thing.
Let's stick with Nebraska.
Miami's going through it, and now they've got Diaz. After how many coaches have they gone through?
Quite a few. We won't go through them right now, but let's go to Nebraska. Since you know Nebraska football and you're a big fan, who do you think was fired that should not have been fired?
Never should have fired Solich.
Okay.
And the athletic director hired
Callahan.
Bill Callahan.
Yep.
That turned out to be the biggest loser from the NFL and continues to be a huge failure.
Sure.
He's not head coach anywhere. And you know, so then you go from Callahan, then you went to Pelini, and Pelini did all his nasty talk in the background. And so they fired him. And, oh my God. I know the routine for Nebraska of the entire thing of that, but you know, you go back through Miami, you go through Michigan, you go through Washington, Arizona State. You know, I'm not saying for you to focus in on any single team, just focus on how the universities have started slamming people, and now with this, your last conversation that you just had with this racist thing, watch and see how many more happen this year over this mess.
Well, I would say, Tom, that over the coaches that you just named since Tom Osborne, that Solich and Pelini would be the two coaches that, although they weren't setting the world on fire, their successors certainly didn't do nearly as good a job as they did. So it turned out to be a bad move for Nebraska in the Solich case and the Pelini case. And I was not a big fan of Bo Pelini, but compared to what's happened since then, Bo Pelini was winning 9 and 10 games every year.
I totally agree, but Pelini had the problem with mouthing off in the background, and people recorded it and passed it off to.
That's right.
You know, the one you can't get for Nebraska anymore.
Forgot about that.
Come on your shows anymore, because all the local sport announcers, or you know what I'm talking about.
Sure. Yeah.
Lincoln Journal Service, Omaha World Herald. I mean, it goes all the way back, and they shut down everything now. So, I just wanted to send you that to see what you can go with it. And
all right,
I'll
Tom.
let you go.
Appreciate it, Tom. Have a good evening.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Always appreciate it. Our man, Navy Thomas. He's the best. 10 teams to make the playoffs. Of course, that was Ohio State, Alabama, Florida State, and Oregon in 2014. Tack on Clemson, Oklahoma, Michigan State in 15. Add Washington in 16. And then you tack on Georgia in 17 and Notre Dame in 18. Don't we have LSU in there as well? That would be 11. Unless I counted wrong. There you go, 10 or 11 teams in the college football playoff. Only two reps from the Big Ten, of course. Just one from the Big 12. And we've got the two from the Pac-12. The SEC is now up to, let's see, LSU, Alabama, and Georgia up to 3 teams. And Clemson, of course, out of the ACC, along with Florida State and Notre Dame as the independent team that should join a conference and should be forced to join a conference. And we see that the ACC commissioner, Mr. Swofford, announced his resignation today. That takes effect in 2021. So we'll see how that particular situation with Notre Dame is handled, if it is changed in some way with the new commissioner. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, who's on the line.
Hey, Mark. It's Dave Knight. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, Dave. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fine. Hey, I'm going to throw a topic at you that maybe doesn't get discussed, in particularly about, and this is for all programs, that's the targeting penalty. You being an Ohio State fan, I was watching Ohio State and Clemson play, and sometimes I go back when I'm bored and I have a little bit of time, watch other highlights of not just of Notre Dame, but a lot of different colleges. But that Sean Wade one was particularly, to me, a big problem because I thought it was a very poor call. What are your thoughts on the targeting penalty and how you can fix that?
So I'm going to work the issue. I'm going to address the issue in reverse, and I'm going to go with, let's say targeting is determined and it's valid. I believe that unless there is a way and it needs to be determined that there is some kind of guideline as to an official's approach at what is malicious intent, it could be a judgment call, has to be a judgment call, that unless there is malicious intent, which I rarely see malicious intent. I see guys that are playing football that are making hits that were legal 5 and 10 years ago. So unless there's malicious intent, I'm going to address this from the disciplinary standpoint first and then go to the actual rule of what targeting is or should be. I don't believe that the football player should be kicked out of the game. I think there should be a severe penalty of, even if you want to go beyond the 15 yards, that is obviously the most drastic penalty in football, 15 yards of any kind of unsportsmanlike conduct, pass interference, etc. is 15 yards. Even if you want to go beyond that, I keep the player in the game and give him a warning, and they don't get ejected from the game until the second infraction. That's first and foremost what I would do with the current situation, because 19 out of 20 times I feel so bad for the guy getting kicked out of the game and having to walk that walk of shame past all of his teammates in front of the crowd when he was just making a football play or what was considered a football play. I think it is so difficult to play defensive football at that level and make split-second decisions midair at full speed that I would take care of the disciplinary portion of it for sure. In terms of targeting itself, I think once they get to look at it on replay, David, what could be addressed would be the positioning of the offensive player, meaning that it's one thing if the offensive player doesn't break stride, duck, do anything that makes it impossible for the defender to eliminate the targeting because it's a split-second situation. And in your case that you bring up with Shaun Wade, and I haven't seen the play in a few months, but the targeting basically occurred because Trevor Lawrence dipped into the targeting play. And it was clearly, well, I won't even say it was clearly targeting. I think it's a justifiable targeting call, except for Trevor Lawrence is 6'6" and
6. Yeah, he's a tall person.
And therefore, I think that there should be a judgment as to, okay, is this particular player not using what is currently taught in regards to safe tackling techniques, not lowering the head, not launching himself, not intending head-to-head, gear-to-gear contact near the upper shoulder area or the headgear? Was it impossible for him to change his direction of within a split second because the offensive player moved considerably? I think that could be addressed. You could almost, I'll just say one other thing, David, I'm sorry. You could almost, if you really think about it, and this just occurred to me, you could almost by definition penalize the offensive player in some of these cases for initiating the contact of the targeting. If you really want to be fair about it.
That's what I was going to bring up too, because a lot of times you think about running backs, wide receivers, when they're getting ready to make contact, they're lowering their helmets and going forward, so that gives them the license to plow you over. Yet you're penalized when two people, what you just described, duck into each other, which is unfair.
It is. It's just like the stiff arm face mask penalty that I have seen called on an offensive player maybe 3 times in my life. You see running backs all the time engage defensive players and initiate the contact with a stiff arm right into the face mask, and nobody calls it on the running back. I have seen it called, but it is so rare. I don't know why that's not a face mask violation by the running back. It's the same thing
I'm
here.
with you. Even, like when Tony Jones had like a 79-yard touchdown run against Iowa State in that bowl game, at the end of the run, he had grabbed the Iowa State's, I'm a Notre Dame fan, but fair is fair. He should have been penalized for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, it's such a difficult play to watch and see the negative outcome as you just described. The guy's got to make that walk of shame. He's unfairly kicked out of the game, and a lot of times it's not malice that's taking place.
No, it's not. And that's, I can remember in the playoff game, there was one particular play made by an LSU player. I can't remember who it was. It was one of the linebackers against Oklahoma. And that I would have no issue with the officials. And of course, we don't know what's running through the brains of these players. So there has to be conjecture there to a certain extent. But it looked like he was just setting the guy up just to lay him out. And it was a targeting play. And it was actually malicious in my estimation. And I would have been okay with that under what we're proposing, David, being called targeting. He saw him coming from a mile away, was lining it up, and then boom, it was targeting. And he could have just hit him. He could have just hit him and laid him out. And even under today's rules, as you well know, the players aren't allowed to do that either. You're not allowed to even take a clean hit or a clean shot at somebody if they don't see it coming. And of course, they're considered a defenseless player.
Yeah, very true, very true.
All right, David. Anything else?
One last question. This is a little personal, but I don't think it's bad. Probably a little humorous, if anything. Does your family get upset with you for your inordinate amount of time you spend conducting these shows?
Oh, my goodness. How do I phrase that? So I have two kids who are 21 and 23. So they are here on a limited basis. They see me on a regular basis. They're here a couple times a week. And that's why the live streams are so inconsistent, or I will change them, that sort of thing, because they come first. And then I have a significant other who's out of town. So what happens there is I spend a very concentrated period of time with her and gear up with just creating so much content that you probably don't notice that I'm gone for 4 days and not doing anything because I've stacked up about 20 videos to release.
Okay.
So that's how I attempt to take care of that.
But I was funny. I was thinking, because I've told you before, I work with the people in the Middle East and this and that, and I wake up and I can catch stuff with you, but sometimes I think, I bet he's taking heat at home.
That's funny, David. Maybe in a former life a little bit, but things are good here.
All right, brother.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for the show, and take care of yourself.
Absolutely, David. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So another disclosure here is that if I don't grab the charger that's over here, my laptop and the whole show is going to die. So just talk amongst yourselves, as they say. And Bergie, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. We will get that posted to the screen very, very soon. So the super chat's always available to everyone. And also down in the comments, or I should say in the description section of all the videos, you can grab Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, and contribute to the channel right here. And if you understand what we're doing, what we're attempting to do, and what the vision is, that could certainly be something that you choose to do. See ya. How unprofessional on my part. Oh my goodness. Awful, 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 awful. That was almost as bad as forgetting for about 8 seconds that Oregon made the college football playoff. Almost as bad. I'd like to remind everyone that over the past, I would say 2 weeks, that I have been promoting a live stream, exclusive live stream that we will be offering here in just a few minutes at 7 o'clock Eastern time. If you're not able to join us, no issues there. We are going to have an exclusive live stream each week. And the purpose of this is so that you can talk to me directly, meaning, of course, you can do that on the phone during the call-in shows, but that you can come on. And this was basically suggested to me by about 20 or 25 of you that you would love to come on as, let's say, guest analysts. And I see it as just a great time to have 3 or 4 of you come on at the same time. We'll talk college football. We'll kick it around. It'll be a very informal discussion. And whatever you want to ask me, whatever you want to talk about, challenge me with, whatever it is, you are producing the show. Basically, I'm going to have 3 or 4 of you on each week. You produce the show, and we're going to do these live streams exclusively. And right now, it looks like I've got about 5 people lined up to come on. Nate, I got your address. I got your email, and we'll throw you in the audience. So we've got about 5 guest analysts, and we'll just kick around college football for, I don't know, for as long as you want. And then we've got 6 people, it appears, in the audience. And we will do these each and every week. And it's also available automatically to our folks on Patreon. So we have a handful of people over there, I believe 13, that will have, as they have earned it, exclusive rights to watch all the live streams and take part in all the exclusive live streams. But we'll have a conversation. And as soon as this was suggested to me, and then about 20 or 25 of you, I'm saying over the past year, have suggested the same thing. I thought this is an amazing idea, because my big vision for this is, let's say we get 1,000 people watching and people just have the link, and then I allow you to come on, let's say 3 or 4 at a time, and just ask me your question, talk for 10 minutes. I'll give you the floor, rant, rave, do whatever you want, because it's your time. You are the producer. So that's what it's all about coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern time. We produced a video a few months ago in which Steve Dace from Michigan Podcast made the comment that it's going to be very difficult for Ryan Day to maintain Ohio State standards of winning. Now, this was not a few months ago. This was prior to the 2019 season, of course. And then Ryan Day went 13-1. So Steve, and by extension, I'm receiving a number of comments. Actually, 3 of them came in today, and this video is a year and a half old. Came in today that basically said, this video is not aging well, or this video has not aged well. My response is, the video hasn't aged yet. If you were judging Ryan Day's career and comparing it to Urban Meyer's right now, you're foolish. That's all there is to it. I understand it looks great for Ohio State. Ryan Day went 13-1. He's got a better winning percentage all time than Urban Meyer. Tack on his 3-0 from the previous season. He's 16-1 as a collegiate head coach. That looks great. It's amazing. He's doing a great job. He's recruiting his mind out of his mind. Let's go with that. He's recruiting out of his mind. Urban Meyer has the highest winning percentage in basically what we could consider the history of college football. There are 2 Notre Dame coaches that predate World War II by a couple decades, in Newt Rockne and Frank Leahy, that have better winning percentages than Urban Meyer. It could be argued that he's the greatest football coach of all time at the collegiate level. Could be argued, not making that statement, saying it could be easily argued. So to say after 1 year that Ryan Day is better than Urban Meyer, you may well turn out to be a prophet. That could be true. But to make that claim, not understanding that things happen, it's difficult to continue to win and post 11-1 seasons over and over and over and over and over. Especially when you get the likes of, yes, I'm going to say it, and people will laugh, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, Iowa, and other teams in the conference that Ohio State is currently dominating. They are, yes. And Ryan Day could finish with a better winning percentage than Urban Meyer during his stay at Ohio State, and has a better chance, actually, of posting a better winning percentage than Urban Meyer the less time that he stays at Ohio State. The more time he stays at Ohio State, the more likelihood that there's going to be a slump. So, in response to those comments, I posted a Twitter poll, and this is another reason you should follow me on Twitter and take part in the polls, that I simply said, who will finish their Ohio State coaching career with a higher winning percentage, Ryan Day or Urban Meyer? That's my Twitter poll today. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
NT8 back at you, man. I just wanted to ask you, I sent you the question, but you never gave me an answer on it. Remember way back when Woody Hayes punched the Clemson player?
Charlie Ballman, yes.
And he got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Who took over the job after that?
Earl Bruce.
Just Earl Bruce.
Yes.
Who lasted how many years?
9. He had the best record in the Big Ten. He had the best record in the Big Ten for those 9 years, 81 and 26, 57 and 17 in the Big Ten.
I think he had Earl Bruce used to hire at Iowa State or Iowa.
Iowa State, yes. He was at Iowa State prior to Ohio State. And then he went to Colorado State after Ohio State.
It was just something that fogged my brain when I started thinking about that after I talked to you on the phone. So I wanted to come back to you with that. So no big deal, man. Thanks for the time.
Oh, I always love to dig up the history. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Bye.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We've got the phone lines open at 860-325-3687. And again, we've got an exclusive live stream coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern time. You're going to have to bear with me if I miss any type of confirmation you're trying to make in the live chat concerning the live stream coming up at 7 o'clock, because I've solicited responses probably 25 times in the last 2 weeks for people that were interested in either being in the audience or being a guest analyst. And again, what it's all about is a time for us each week to get together, relax, talk college football, bring you on, whether that's one person or that's 55 people, to come on and talk college football with me directly. And you've got the floor, you've got the show, you are the producer. We will talk about anything you want to talk about. Besides what David Knight delved into concerning my personal life. Well, probably that's about as far as we'll take that. All right. Other things to consider is that we're carving through rosters right now. We have dissected 15 teams, posted those videos with some of the best bloggers, broadcasters, writers in the industry, including just analysis from myself. We are posting Notre Dame and Kentucky in the next few days, and Oregon. Keep in mind, we've got Ohio State, Florida State, and Miami live streams. Ohio State's coming up tomorrow, Friday, at 2 o'clock Eastern time, preceded by Miami at 1. Miami at 1, Ohio State at 2. Then we come back with another Miami live stream on Saturday at noon. And, of course, Florida State's always at 7 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday night. Let me know what other teams you would like to have featured on our live streams. I'm not locked in on Ohio State, Florida State, and Miami. They just happen to be the one group of teams that I got a good response from media to be able to appear and form a show each week. And then also I get a good response in terms of viewership. We tried Notre Dame for about 8 weeks, didn't pan out. We weren't consistent enough with the time and the days, so that had something to do with it. But I'm, as you can see, I am certainly dedicated to covering Notre Dame football. We actually had a video posted this morning on Notre Dame's offense, so check it out with Ben Belden from Slap the Sign. So we got roster breakdowns out there, of course, our live shows, live streams every week. And again, I would love to take off. If I was doing this full time, you would see so many team live streams. It would blow you away. If there's anything you'd like for me to rank, quarterbacks, coaches, running backs, teams, whatever, if you want me to rank anything, let me know. You can leave that in the comment section of any of the videos. Don't leave it here in the live chat. It's going to get lost. But leave it in the comment section of any of the videos if there's anything you would like me to rank. And as you may know from conversations we've had over the last couple of months, I was into analyzing national championship seasons. I posted a video on 1983 and 1990. So I'm talking about disputed national championship seasons, which for me is just about every one, because you know what I think of the national championship in college football. It's a bit of a farce. So we've posted 1983 and 1990. So if you have a particular year that you would like to see me analyze, and what I typically do is I just lay it out. This is what happened. This is the rundown of these particular teams involved that had a shot at the national championship or a claim for a national championship. And this is how their season went. This is who they beat of significance. Here's the matchup between these teams, how they compare. And then this is what happened in postseason play. One went to the Sugar Bowl, did this. The other team went to the Rose Bowl and did that. And if I believe that there should have been a better selection, would have been a better selection for the national championship, I will tell you, I had a better team in 1990 and in 1983. Then I also take what happened that particular season and I lift it out of that time frame and move it to the BCS era and say, well, let's look at the regular season stats and the results and see what would have been decided most likely during the BCS era. That's interesting to see. And then also to take that particular season and put it into the playoff era to determine who would have made the playoff. I flat out stated that in 1990, that the two teams that split the national championship were not even in the top 4 teams in the country. The 4 teams that would have played in the playoff, the 4 best teams in the country, I should say, were Miami, Florida State, Penn State, and Notre Dame in 1990. But Texas would have made the playoff. So it's fascinating to really look at how the season played out, who went to what bowl games, who should have played in bowl games that didn't because of conference affiliation, what could have been decided. So, for example, why does Miami at number 5 in the country in 1983 rise to number 1 after beating the number 1 team and pass, let's say, an Auburn at number 2, who had a much tougher schedule? And then 13 years later, Ohio State at number 5, it might have been higher than that, defeated the number 1 team, undefeated team, Arizona State in the Rose Bowl. They didn't go from number 5 to number 1. Now, obviously, there are other mitigating circumstances, but it's interesting to delve into it and realize that I don't know that there's a program off the top of my head that's been ripped off more in the process than guess who? Off the top of my head, I haven't analyzed every year, thought it through, but this just comes to mind. I'm going to say Auburn. They could have won a national championship in 1983, or I should say been awarded the national championship in 83. Same thing could have happened in 2004. And I thought there was another Auburn year in there. 1993, they were on probation as an undefeated team. That was it. 1993 or 4? 3. 1993. Auburn was on probation, went undefeated. So there's 3 Auburn teams that could have been awarded national championships. Right there. And I might be wrong, but I don't see Auburn running around claiming national championships like they could. They could say, you know what, 2004, we were the national champions. We played in arguably the toughest conference. We were not given an opportunity. We went undefeated. We're hanging a banner. If I'm Auburn, I hang a banner for 2004 national champions. If I'm Auburn, I hang one in 1983 national champions. And actually, there are 22 different outlets. 22, I don't know how legitimate they are, but 22, a couple of them are New York Times, Sports Illustrated, the Sporting News, that awarded Auburn the national championship in 1983. Bergie, thank you so much for the contribution. Refs and those in power should be able to tell the difference between a football hit during the course of play and blatant targeting, especially when they get to watch it on replay. Yes, if it just happened in the moment, we had never invented replay and reviews, then that would be different. It's arguably the most impossible sport to officiate because it's just so fast and so many people going in so many directions. Baseball, the ball's the thing that's traveling so fast. But there's uniformity to where the players are moving, obviously, on the base paths. Football, you don't know. You have no idea what play is going to be called as an official, but they've got the advantage of review. Good call, Bergie. I agree. And that's what I outlined in my conversation with David. I will comb through this a little bit more, and unfortunately can't get to most of these comments in the live chat. So again, one more time, coming up here at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, I thank everybody that's responded over the last couple of weeks that's going to take part in our exclusive live stream and talk college football with me. That would be Jake, Seth, Tony, Kyle. Need your Gmail address. Kure, if you're out there, Mr. Walker, need your email address. But we've got Jake, Seth, Tony, possibly Kyle, and Kure. And we've got John in the audience. We've got Jimmy86, Nate, VOCFB, Hafnium, which actually, when I was reviewing these email addresses, it just occurred to me that I don't even know who this is. I'd have to go back and look at my email list. Hafnium is the beginning of his email address is VOCF, Voice of College Football, right there. And then we got Julie and David as well. So I'm looking forward to that. So I got to run. I appreciate everybody who called. Short conversation tonight, but we'll be back. We always are. Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, we're talking Miami football live. So we're back here at 1 o'clock Eastern Time live, and also at 2 o'clock Eastern Time with Ohio State Talk live. And then Saturday to talk Miami football live at, we're still determining the time, but it should be noon Eastern Time on Saturday with Cam Underwood from State of the U. Appreciate everybody. You guys are the best. Let's build this channel and do it right. We're coming up on 20,000 thanks to you right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Anything else here? We got Logan. Okay. Adonbe, you're tremendous. Tremendous. You need to call me in. sometime. Call the show. All right, I'm not seeing anything else in particular. Oh, we got David Knight. So send me your email to MarkRogersTV@gmail. David, your email to MarkRogersTV@gmail, then I can send you the link so you can jump on with us. Bear with me on this first one. It might be a little bit of a rough ride, but we'll give it a go. I think I've got everything coordinated between YouTube, the StreamYard app with the live chat, and Patreon, and so forth and so on. But again, you guys want a national championship season researched, investigated, and dissected with new championship criteria and possibly a new champion. Let me have it. Let me know the year you'd like me to look at, and also what do you want me to rank. All right, right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. See you tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Miami live, Ohio State at 2 Eastern. See you.